Yo, 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 what's going on, guys? It is DFS Hart, and today I'm breaking down the 8-game NBA slate that we have on February 8th, Monday. Before we get into that, I just want to say welcome to my channel. My name is Hart, and I make daily NBA, NFL, and PGA slate breakdowns on Draftkings, where I'll be going over the best plays of the day and give you some in-depth analysis, building blocks, and core plays that you can put into your lineups. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, as it truly helps out my channel. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at DFS Hart, where I'll be keeping you guys updated on everything DFS, injury news, pivot plays, all that good stuff. You can check me out at DFS Heart. Pretty active, answering your guys' questions, so let's jump on into it. We got the Rockets versus Hornets, 3-point spread, 224 over under. Wizards Bulls, 2.5 point spread, 237 over under. Raptors Grizzlies, 2-point spread, 223.5 over under. Warriors Spurs, 1.5 point spread. It is a 233.5 over under. Wolves Mavericks, 9.5 point spread, 225.5 over under. Cavs Suns, 7.5 point spread, 214 over under. Bucks Nuggets, 4-point spread, 233.5 over under. And Thunder Lakers, 10-point spread, 217.5 over under. Let's start it off with Houston versus Charlotte. Christian Wood is still out, so that means DeMarcus Cousins, probably DeMarcus Cousins chalk night once again. His price did come up to 7-1, but I mean that's still way too cheap for him. But Victor Oladipo, John Wall, I'm assuming both of them will play, and yeah, if they're both in, they're fine at their respective prices. I'd go to John Wall over Oladipo. And I feel like that might be the case for a lot of people if they choose to take a player from this game that's not DeMarcus Cousins, just because of the cheaper price tag. But I'm fine. They're both going to get, Oladipo will get closer to 35, maybe a little bit more. Wall has slowly been creeping up. He's been getting 32 the past two games. So I expect we should see closer to 35 if it stays close. He's a good point per minute guy. It's a good price for him. That's why I'd like him over Oladipo. DeMarcus Cousins, 7-1 as I mentioned. Way too cheap for him. Gonna play at least 30 minutes, maybe a few more. I mean, he has the ability to 50 plus, so it's a great matchup against Charlotte. I really like him today. And that's really it. You could take a shot on a guy like Eric Gordon, but he's more of a secondary, GPP play. With everyone healthy, the usage is going to be with Oladipo, Wall, and Cousins. Eric Gordon's going to be the guy coming off the bench, so I don't think he gets to do it. On the Charlotte side, we got LaMelo Ball at the top, 8-3. Big news is Devontae Graham. If Graham is in, then LaMelo Ball is going to go back to the bench, most likely. And that takes away his usage, and at 8-3, he would not be a good play at all. But if Devontae Graham is still out again, LaMelo Ball is, firmly in play at 8-3. I don't like the price tag for him. They blew out Washington last game. He still got 38 fantasy points. He's been shooting really well for how bad of a shooter he actually is. So I don't know if I can trust these numbers. 8-3 is just way too high for him. It's a good matchup, but I can't do that for LaMelo Ball at 8-3. But if he starts, you guys can definitely take a shot on him. That's just not for me. Gordon Hayward always in play at 7-9. Could hit you close to 40 minutes a game. His usage is there. It's just sometimes he lets other guards have their time go off, and he'll take the secondary options. But then a lot of times he'll just be able to go off. He can get you 40, 50 plus easily. So 7-9, his price is up there, but it's decent. I think Rozier is firmly in play again. 6-3. Still pretty cheap price tag on him. He got you 39 fantasy points in 30 minutes. Shot the ball really well. But it's one of his lowest price tags for the season, and I do think it's a great spot for him. I'm fine if you run it back with Rozier. Cody Zeller, you can look to him. He got in some foul trouble last game, so he got limited in the end, and it was a blowout, so they didn't use him. PJ Washington, you can look to him. His first game back, 28 minutes. He only shot the ball 1-7. Had some foul trouble, so didn't play a ton, but it's another decent matchup for him. So I'd say my favorite play on this side would be Rozier, and then Hayward, and then you could take secondary shots on LaMelo Ball if Devontae Graham's out, Zeller, and PJ Washington. Washington Chicago. Going to be one of the most popular games of the day to stack. Beal at 9K is just way too cheap. Even if Russ is in, Beal still has the ability to go off, and at 9K, it's just I don't know why DraftKings brought his price down this much. Obviously, he's had 2 bad games back to back, even though 31 fantasy points is not, or 31 real life points is not bad. But fantasy point wise, I guess 39 when you get 31 is bad. Only played 27, 28 minutes because of blowouts. I expect this game to be close and really high scoring. So Brad Beal, one of the best plays of the day, if not the best. Same with Russ if he plays. He is questionable because he doesn't play back-to-backs. But Scott Brooks said that he might be available for the game today, so we have to keep an eye out on that. If he's in, just like Beal, amazing spot, amazing price, triple-double upside. Don't really know how you guys don't play at least one of these 2 guys, if not both, as your top 2 spend-ups on the day. It will be chalky, high ownership, but more than fine going there. And then you can take a shot on guys like Hachimura and Bertans, but I don't know if I'd do it for anyone, the rest of this team. Alexson did get the start. He did terrible. So they played Lopez. They played Wagner. You can take a shot on the guy like Mo Wagner. He's the best offensively out of Robin Lopez and Alexson. So you can hope he gets extended in a 3-4. Good price for him, but I don't really trust anyone besides Beal and Westbrook on this team. They're all just not high usage guys. For Chicago, Zach LaVine's at the top, 8.9K. His price tag came up a little bit, but as I mentioned last game against Orlando, he's in a great spot, got 55 fantasy points. I think you can expect the same thing again, at least 40, 45 plus fantasy points. Because he's going to get you all the minutes. This is their whole team. They need him. And this is a great spot for him against Washington. Excuse me. Thad Young, 6'7". You can definitely look to him. I just don't like him at that price tag. He's got, triple-double upside, but he's just not a high usage guy. So you can look to him, but not for me. More of a secondary play. Laurie is questionable. That's big news because if he's in, you can definitely take a shot on him at 6'6". Sorry about that. Excuse me. But if he's out again, that makes guys like Thad Young more valuable. And Pat Williams, he's going to get more minutes. And Denzel and Gary Temple and Sadorensky, they've been getting a ton of minutes off the bench because they've had to go small with Laurie out. So that's big news we have to keep an eye on. Let's say he's still out. Obviously, Zach's the best play at the top. Thad Young is the secondary play. I do like Kobe White at 6'4". Been up and down. Doesn't have any ownership in any of these slates right now just because of his inconsistent play. I had him in this game against Orlando. He had 13 real life points at half. He didn't get a single point in the second half. Not 1 point. So that's just super frustrating. But I do like him once again today at 6'4". Wendell Carter's still out. Pat Williams and Denzel and Sato are all decent value options if Laurie's still out. I'd say my favorite would be Pat Williams, just because he's a little bit better of a scorer and rebounder than Denzel and Sadorensky. Sadorensky at 4K is interesting as a lone GPP play. Played 21 minutes, then played 27. He's not a high usage guy, but he can easily get you there if he's scoring the ball decent. He's not going to take a ton of shots, but at 4K, you can definitely take a shot at him. But we have to wait for Laurie News to figure out what to do with Chicago besides Zach and Kobe White. But that's a great game to stack. Toronto, Memphis. As I mentioned every slate, it's just one of these 3 guys will go off and have a good game. It's just you never know who. More likely than not, it's been Van Fleet, but he's had some bad games recently. So it's just one of those things. I like them. I like all 3. They're all 3 are in play. It's just who do you think will have the good game and try to pick them. Otherwise, you're kind of screwed because you're going to probably pick the guy who gets 30 fantasy points. And then at that price tag, it's not going to work out. But all firmly in play. The guy I do like is Boucher. He was semi-popular last slate just due to how tall Atlanta was with John Collins and Clint Capella. And I think he's firmly in play once again with how tall Memphis is. They got J. Val back, Dieng, Tillman. So I do think Chris Boucher Could get at least 25 plus minutes. Now, the thing with him, obviously, as we've seen, started off the season great, then didn't get any minutes. Was only averaging like 15 over the past 5 games, and in the past 2 games, he's gone for 25 minutes plus. So that's the huge risk with him. He's a great GPP play because of that. Either he's going to play 15 minutes, do nothing, or he's going to shoot the ball well, play about 25 to 30, maybe even a little bit more, and go off and break the slate. So he's firmly in play today. Is a nice GPP play at 5-4. And that's about it on that side. Memphis, John Morant, it's a decent price for him. He finally got over 30 minutes, but it's just the minutes are in question right now, as I mentioned. If John Morant was going to play at least 35 minutes, it'd be a great spot. Great spot to pick John Morant, even in this matchup against Toronto. But the minutes are just questionable right now. I could see it going up a few more just because DeAnthony Melton's out. So they're going to probably want to give those minutes to Ja, at least a little bit of them. J-Val, I say he's a decent option. He came off the bench last game. Only played 24 minutes, but he did really well. He does have upside when he starts, so if he starts today, I'd say it was a decent spot against Aaron Baines. You can definitely look to him. It's just the minutes are in question with every single one of these guys. You can take shots on guys like Anderson and Brooks. More secondary plays for me. Same with Tillman, Tyus Jones, Dieng, Bane, Allen, Contra. I mean, everyone on this team you can take a shot on. I do like John Morant and J-Val at the top, obviously, as they're firmly in play. But they're just risky as minutes. And then everyone else is just like a secondary GPP play, hope they play. That really does. I don't really like Memphis that much right now. Not a lot of interest. Minnesota, Dallas, D'Lo at the top, or Towns at the top, 9-9. He is questionable. I don't know if they said he's doubtful, so we'll have to keep an eye on this, but most likely he's not going to play. So that leaves D'Lo. He is questionable at 7-3. Quad. I'm assuming he plays. Well, I mean, we'll have to keep an eye on this, but if he's in, it's a pretty decent price for him at 7-3. And you can always, look to Malik Beasley. He's been a little bit better than D'Lo at cheaper price tag. And then Anthony Edwards at 6-1. He's been playing pretty good over the past 2 weeks, which is nice to see. He's been getting the start. He's been getting rebounds and assists, which he wasn't getting at the beginning of the season. So I do think you can take a shot on him. He is blowout proof. He's a rookie. They'll play him a ton. And then Naz Reid is a decent option at 6K. 27 minutes, shot the ball 21 times, went for 40 fantasy points. I don't think we'll get that same amount of shooting from him today. Maybe if D'Lo's out, you can see that again, but if D'Lo's in, he's a pretty good play. Beasley would be firmly in play, and then you can take a shot on a guy like Anthony Edwards. Let's say D'Lo's out. You can go look to Ricky Rubio at 5-3. Not a high usage guy. He hasn't got any ceiling games when he started yet. Only playing about 25 minutes in the starts. The guy I do like, if D'Lo's out, is McLaughlin. I played him last slate. Unfortunately, he couldn't hit a shot. He still got me 16 fantasy points, but at 3-6, I think we can expect at least close to 25 minutes, and he is a pretty good scorer. So you could definitely see 20 plus fantasy points, even 25 plus if he's hitting a shot. Especially if this game blows out, because it is a pretty high point spread. So yeah, I do like McLaughlin if D'Lo's out. On the Dallas side, we have Luka at the top. 11K, firmly in play. You just got to hope this game stays close, which I'm assuming it will. The maps have been terrible, but we don't know. They came out, finally beat Golden State. Luka had a great game. So Luka's always in play, as I mentioned, every slate. Same thing with Porzingis. Great matchup for him. Price tag is up, but pretty good play. And then you can take, a secondary shot on guys like Hardaway, Richardson. Cleaver's price tag came up a ton, 4-5. I don't know if I would do it. I'll just take a shot on Hardaway, Richardson, and Brunson or Freddie Smith. And that's really it. Not too much interest on Dallas' side besides Porzingis and Luka. Golden State, we got Steph at 10-3. He's always in play every slate. I mean, he went off for 75, 57 real life points. We know he's a great shooter. He got 70 plus in the past 2 out of 3 games. Prices came up a little bit, but I mean, it's a great spot for him. 10-3 always in play. Draymond, he's been doing really well the past 2 games. I don't think I'm going to chase it. He's been in a ton of minutes, but he's gotten 15 assists and 6 rebounds in back-to-back games. He also had 6 steals last game. That's 12 extra points. He's a good defender. He's got that low triple-double upside, but I just don't think you want to chase this at 6'8". But, I mean, if you want to, you can. I just don't trust him. As we've seen this season, he's not that good. He's been really up and down. Wiggins and Oubre, you can take shots on them. I'd always, rather take a shot on Wiggins just because he's a more consistent, better player than Oubre. And then the big news is Pascal. If he's in, that's going to take some minutes away from Anderson, Bazemore, Lee. But if he's still out, then obviously Toscano Anderson's going to get the start. He's not a high usage guy, but he's obviously going to start with the starting lineup. Got 34 minutes last game. I could say you can lock him in for at least 30. He's not a great shooter. Only got 2 points. Only shot the ball once. Still got you 21 fantasy points, which is nice. But I do think you can definitely fade him and go to guys like Bazemore, Lee. They're cheaper price tags. They're better scorers and shooters. They might not get as many rebounds, but you can definitely see some upside in Bazemore. Went for 20 points, 3 rebounds. So I do like him a decent amount at 3.8 if Pascal is out. Same with Damian Lee, 3.6. Pretty good shooter. He's been the most consistent minutes-wise off the bench. Been getting about 20 extended if he's shooting the ball well. He's more inconsistent, though, than Bazemore. So I do think Bazemore is my favorite play off the bench. And then Anderson and then Lee. On the Spurs side, we got DeMar DeRozan at the top, 7-7. I think it's a great matchup for him. I'm not afraid of Draymond Green guarding him if that's who they put on him. He's got 48 and 50 the past 2 games, playing closer to 40 minutes, which you'd love to see. Obviously, it's the Spurs, so you might get popped. You think things are going well. Oh, DeMar DeRozan getting 40 minutes a game the past 2 games, 48, 50 fantasy points. Oh, I'm going to play him again against Golden State. Great matchup. He can go out there and play 20 minutes, get you 5 fantasy points. So just be warned, that is in play with the Spurs. But I do really like him at 7-7. Same with DeJounte Murray at 6-8. How many minutes did he play last game? 33. So he's still getting 30 plus, which you like to see. Didn't shoot the ball that well, but he's definitely a decent play today. Pulled at 5'9" with Marcus still out. You can definitely look to him. He'll get you about 30 minutes. Obviously, you can't expect him to score a ton every game. Yeah, everything's just going to be close to the basket. Not a very high usage guy. He's more of in there to get blocks and rebounds. So I don't know if you want to do it at 5'9". That's just more of a secondary play. Keldon Johnson, secondary play, but at 5'8", it's a decent price tag for him. As I mentioned, it's just kind of random who goes off in the Spurs. Usually, most of the time, it's DeJounte Murray or DeRozan. But a lot of times this season, we'll see Keldon Johnson go for 40 plus. And I'd say you can take a shot on a guy like Rudy Gay, 4'4". I'd say secondary option. Going to play about 20 to 25. Can get you there. Decent price tag for him. Decent matchup. Lonnie Walker is out, so that's more minutes for guys like Patty Mills. Derek White, as I mentioned last slate. I actually took him out of I put him in my core, but I didn't play him because I think Lonnie, DeJounte Murray ended up playing, so I was like, oh, he's going to have it closer to like 25 minutes at most maybe. He got extended to 29, 28 fantasy points, so I do think he's firmly in play. His minutes are going to keep going up. They do really like him. He's a good point per minute guy, good rebounder, good assists. So at 5'1", I think it's a great spot for Derek White, especially if those guys who started doing bad, they're going to run Derek White even more. So I do really like him. I'd say he's my favorite play on the Spurs side, followed by DeRozan and Murray. And the rest of the guys are secondary for me. Cleveland, Phoenix. I told you guys in my video, Drummond at 8-2. Or what was he last slate? 7-9. I played him, got 30 minutes. Unfortunately, the game blew out at the very end, so he didn't get his full. He could have got like at least 35 plus, and absolutely would have broke the slate. He was only like 4% owned. I mentioned it. You can take that risk. I did. I got 48, which is fine, but it was just on the edge of getting me into cash. If he would have played at least 5 more minutes, it would have helped me cash a pretty good amount. But oh well. I do think you can go back to him today. A2, it's a very cheap price. Matchup is not the best, but with Drummond, even in 30 minutes, he can easily get you 40, 50 plus. Sexton is more of a secondary play. It's 7-1. Just depending on scoring. Garland at 6-2. I'd rather take a shot on Garland over Sexton. Even though he's more inconsistent. He's been getting you there the past few games, 40, 30, 32. So not a very high ceiling, but he can definitely have a good game. Jared Allen, not for me. You can take a shot on guys like Seti and Osman, or Seti and Prince, with Larry Nance still out for a while. They're going to get you probably 25 to closer to 30 minutes, depending on who starts and who's doing well. So they're both in play. But that really does it for me. I just say it's Drummond, the best play, and then you can take a shot on guys like Sexton and Garland, or those value small forward, power forwards for them. Chris Paul, 7-6. As I mentioned last slate, the only guy who's really in play for me is Aiden at 6-9. Booker had a pretty decent game. He got a double-double, 47 fantasy points. You can't really expect 11 assists out of him. That was more of an outlier game. So as I mentioned, with everyone healthy, their main stars, they all like cap each other's ceiling. So even at these prices, I don't really like them. I'd take the shot on Ayton at 6-9. I know Bridges had a decent game last game, 34 fantasy points, but he plays a ton of minutes. He's good defensively, so you could always take a shot and hope he gets to do some steals and actually has a good shooting game. But that's about it. Frank Kaminsky has been getting to start off the bench at 4-3. Only played 20 minutes. Still got you there. But with Saric questionable, Nader questionable, and Payne questionable, it kind of takes away from the cheap value guys. If they're all in play, if they're all back, and same with Jake Crowder, don't look to Frank. He's not going to get any run. And yeah, that I don't really like many guys on Phoenix. Just not the team for me. And the last two games of the day, we got Milwaukee, Denver. Giannis at the top, 10-9. I do really like him in this matchup. He sometimes struggles in the big games against the good teams, but at 10-9, pretty good price for Giannis. He's pretty much a lock for at least 30-plus minutes. Will get you closer to 40 if it's a good game and close. Could easily break the slate. So I do think Giannis is firmly in play today in this matchup against Denver. Middleton, I do have some interest in Middleton. His price has come down a tad, 7-5. He's a really good shooter. He's been having some, floor games past few, 23, 26, 30, but he's going to get you closer to 35 to 40 minutes if it's close, if he's doing well. So I do think he'll have a low ownership. Great spot for him. He usually does well when he's playing good teams, so I do like Middleton a decent amount today. You can take a shot on a guy like Drew Holiday. And I guess Brook Lopez at 4-8 is not bad. They're going to need him to guard Jokic, so he'll probably play closer to 30, maybe 35 plus. Not a very high usage guy. He does like to just shoot a ton of threes, but you could take, a secondary GPP dart throw on him. But my favorite play would probably be Middleton and then Giannis. That's really it. On the Denver side, we got Jokic at the top, 11.1K. Big news is Jamal Murray. If Jamal Murray's out, Jokic has massive games. He'll play at least 40 minutes. Went off for 88.5 against Sacramento. Went off for 77.5 against Utah. That's basically 80 fantasy points plus in the past 2 out of 3 games. So that's huge news if Jamal's out. All the usage goes to Nikola Jokic. Even at 11-1, he'd firmly be in play in this matchup. Not really scared of Brook Lopez defense. But if Jamal Murray's back, I don't know if I'd look to Jokic. He'd be a low owned, very low owned GPP play. But I would like Jamal Murray a decent amount, 7K, as I mentioned every slate. We still haven't seen it, his big, huge, high ceiling game like we did in the bubble. But he definitely has that in him. 7K, decent price for him. So he'd be my favorite play on this side. I do like Michael Porter Jr. a decent amount, 6-1. Prices come down. He has the ability to go off, break the slate if he's shooting the ball well. They like to give him minutes now, so I do think we looked him in the spot. He played 34 minutes, shot the ball 11 times, so at 25 fantasy points. So I do like MPJ a good amount today. Will Barton, you can take a shot on him. Obviously, Jamal Murray's out. That makes guys like Porter Jr., Barton, Monte Morris all more in play. I don't know if I can get to Monte Morris at 5-1. It's an okay price for him. He's just not a high usage and high scorer guy. Even when he's getting the minutes, 30 plus, it just usually goes to Jokic, Porter Jr., Barton, guys like Green and Millsap will shoot the ball a ton. So they're more like secondary plays. So let's say Jamal is out, Jokic is firmly in play, really good play today. Porter Jr., really good play, and then you can take a shot on guys like Barton, Morris. If Jamal is in, I'd say he's one of my favorite plays today, and same with Porter. And then you can take a shot on guys like Jokic, Morris, Barton, and Green, and the secondary guys. Last game of the day, OKC Lakers. It'll be interesting. This game is 12-point spread, 10.5. SGA is back. 8K is a good price for him. We know if this game stays close, it's because of SGA. Had 54 fantasy points last game, played really well. He actually lost some minutes too. Or actually, no, he didn't. Never mind. But yeah, he's firmly in play at 8K. I think Anthony Davis is ruled out, so that's huge news. Going to keep the game a little bit closer, hopefully, but we never know. Al Horford, decent spot for him, 6-3. Even though he's only playing not even playing 30 minutes. He's had some pretty good games past few. So you can definitely look to him at 6-3. It's a decent price for him. Diallo, 6K for Diallo is just, I think, too much. He's going to play at least 30 minutes. He's been doing well the past few games, but I just don't know if I'm going to do it in this matchup. Baisley, not for me. You can take a shot on him. Bowden is out. Muscala's out. Ruiz is out. Hill is out. Roby's out. So SGA, Horford, Diallo, and Basley are all going to get a ton of run. Dort is back, 4-8. You can definitely look to him. He'll probably play 30 plus. Not the best shooter, but he does love to chuck threes, so you can definitely look to him. I'd say he did my favorite play besides SGA on the side. And then guys like Kenrich Williams and Justin Jackson, you can take secondary GPP dart throws on them at their prices. They'll probably both play at least 25 to 30. They're not very high usage guys, but they can easily get you there. So I'd say my favorite play on the side is SGA. Horford is a pretty good option. I don't know if I'm going to go there, but you guys definitely can. Diallo's more of a secondary play, same with Basley. Dort is like fringe first option for me at 4-8. And then guys like Kenrich Williams and Justin Jackson are more secondary right now. On the Lakers side, we got LeBron at the top. It's like 10-5. He's questionable, but there was a report earlier today that he's probable. So I'm assuming he can play. Obviously, it sucks because this is the last game of the day, and they could wait right up until about 8:55 to let everyone know if LeBron's playing. And if he's out, that would mean guys like Schroeder, Harrell, Kuzma, Tucker, basically their whole backups would all be really, really good plays today, and this game would be one of the best games this game stack. So you can get risky, and if you're one lineup guy, I wouldn't suggest it, but if you're a multiple lineup guy, I'd play a few lineups with all the first 7 games, and then you could play a lineup where you game stack this game and wait on the news and hope that either James is in or hope that he's out, and then just pretty much play a bunch of guys on OKC and a bunch of guys on the Lakers, and I think that'd do really well. Has a chance to be a GPP takedown if it was close. But LeBron James right now, we can assume he'll be in 10-5. not a great price tag for him. He'll get some more usage with AD out, but AD's it says he's questionable, but he's expected to sit out. So that makes guys like Kuzma firmly played 5-2. He's been getting the start when AD's been out. He's had some, low floor games when that's happened, but he has the ability to go off about 30, 40 plus if he's shooting well. He can get you some rebounds. So at 5-2, that's a great price for him. Montrezl Harrell, 5-3, great price. Going to get a ton of minutes. We saw, I think it was versus Detroit. AD was out, I believe. It was either that game or versus Denver. I think it was Detroit. And he started and only played 23 minutes, only got 15 fantasy points. Then AD came back, and he went off for 32 and 28. So he's a little risky, but I do love this spot for him and think he's firmly in play. Same with Horton Tucker, 3-9. I played him last game, played 21 minutes, 19 fantasy points. Not a ton, but pretty decent. I think we can assume to expect at least 25, maybe closer to 30 minutes. They do like to play him a ton when they're given the minutes, so I do like him a decent amount. Obviously, I'd say you could definitely look to LeBron at the top of 10-5, but I'd rather take the shots on guys like Schroeder, Harrell, Kuzma, Tucker with AD out. And that really does it for me today, guys. I just want to thank you for tuning in. Please hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell as it does truly help out my channel. Follow me on Twitter at DFSHeart, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.